live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Sorry for the delays. I feel I'm used to opening up with Edie.
Yes, and to saying our hello to
Hello
Felicio.
to Felicio. It's weird to be live without our old lady makeup.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
yes, yes. But welcome to our pilot episode of Crit Chicks.
Crit chicks.
Crit Chicks, where we talk about all things girl power and all things women in the gaming industry and well, gaming and geek, I should say, because there's it like encompasses a whole bunch. Um, and I'm gonna welcome my host Ashley. I'll welcome myself. Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you.
I'm Lindsay.
um, So, yeah, so we kind of wanted to start a show to touch on the struggles that women might have in the gaming industry and what kind of encompasses with that. So, things like having discussions about gatekeeping and discussions about how hard it is for game designers who are female or female identified to work in that environment and what it entails. So, welcome everybody. I don't know if we have viewers yet because I have a bit of a delay, but I'm going to say welcome anyway because I'm not sure.
Yeah. It looks like we have one viewer
Oh, yay. Well,
um,
hello, one viewer. Um,
on the Twitch.
on the Twitch. Okay.
Yes. Um. So. Yes. So welcome. Feel free to ask questions
Yes.
if you have any.
Yes.
But we have a good amount of stuff to talk about today.
We do. We do.
So don't feel pressured to ask questions.
Okay. Don't feel pressured at all. This is kind of like a pilot episode, so um, things are a bit of like a things have been a bit of a crazy house for both of us. So both for
Yes.
Ashley and both for me. Um, we both have busy family lives, and so we're trying to manage that. And currently, I'm trying to get my kids to bed. So our dear, sweet, also other partner in crime, Kevin, is trying to help me with that right now. So bless him. Bless Kevin. So let's go ahead and kind of dive right into it. I think like we wanted to kind of go ahead and segue into like a woman in history.
Yes.
So the chosen woman of history today is Ada Lovelace, or aka Augusta Ada, King and Countess of Lovelace, um, who has quite like an interesting background. She was an English mathematician and writer. She's chiefly known for her work with Charles Babbage, proposed mechanical general purpose computer, or I guess it's more known as the analytical engine. Um, and she's believed to be one of the very few to first recognize the machine in applications beyond pure calculation. So she recognized that machines could, kind of have personalities. She believed in artificial intelligence. So she was a heavy hitter in that industry or, in that expertise. But she did have a lot of struggles that she faced being a female mathematician, which at that time, and I guess to this day, not really, but at that time definitely was um, majorly a male sort of area for mathematicians, at least during that time. So it's around the 19, let's see, what age is? Yeah, so like in the 1800s, so like to 1815 to 1827, she was um, kind of ahead of her time. So that being said, we, as in Ashley and I, have come up with a couple of questions to kind of touch on the struggles that is women in the gaming industry.
In the game.
Um, so we'll be asking each other the same questions, kind of like back and forth. So
Right.
Welcome
We,
more viewers. Looks like we have
and
three.
yes, we have three. Yes,
Three.
and this does tie into
It
Ada
does.
Lovelace
Ada.
because Ada.
I think it's Ada, and the only reason I know that is because my daughter actually has a book that is a part of a series of women in science and engineering, and she has two books right now. She has Rosie Rosie Revere, the engineer, and then she has the other one, which is Ada Marie, the scientist. So um, I think it's Ada because I overheard the story being read in her science class, which was pretty awesome. So um, yes, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and like dive into these questions. Which one of us wants to be the victim here?
I'll go first, but do we? Well, should we? Let's talk about how Ada ties into women
We
in
do.
gaming,
So
specifically like video and computer games.
yes, indeed. So the reason why we're touching on Ada today is because we were going to kind of talk more about video gaming, PC gaming. Um, and we thought that Ada would be the perfect little lady to introduce into this because she kind of ties really well into the video game industry. Video games are operated by a console, which is technically a computer, and as well as PC games, which are also ran on a computer. Um, so that's the reason kind of why we wanted to kind of include her on this. Um, she, so her mother was the one that kind of pushed her to go into school for mathematics. And the reason why she did this is because she really believed in trying to push her daughter, at least, to pushing the envelope to kind of go beyond what other males her age would be doing. She recognized her ability to calculate things very easily in mathematics. She loved mathematics ever since she was a little girl, and so she really pushed her when nobody else would. And as you know, like in that time in the 1800s, it was very difficult to recognize women in all of their accomplishments because women were kind of considered kind of like a second class. They didn't have a lot of rights. They weren't really recognized as anybody who could really achieve anything or go to school for much more than what was it? What is it called, Ashley? Excuse me, secretarial school or
So
even like
yeah, I
finishing
think
school.
so. I believe it was secretary or school. What was the year again? Like
It's eight. Well, so she was born in 1852. So, or I'm sorry, excuse me, one moment, because I don't want
well,
to
so
give
I'm not
false
sure about
facts.
the 1800s, but I know like even when my mom was in school,
Mm.
which was like the 60s of night of like there were two fields that women were pushed into going. You would either go and learn like typing and stuff, so you could be a secretary, or you would
Right,
become a nurse. Like
right.
that was pretty much your only options, or a teacher. So I think like in the 1800s, teacher was definitely one.
Teacher and then au pair was the other one
Yeah.
where like you could go to school to teach and then you have two options. You could go to be a nanny or you could become a teacher. And that was as far as you could really go with your education. And Ada's mother very much so wanted more for her. And I think that in this day and age now, uh, that is, what, I am pushing for my daughter to kind of strive towards, being whatever she wants to be. Um, and so, even to this day, though, it's very difficult to still kind of get your place in the industry as a female
In any industry,
in
really.
any industry, really. Which is funny because we both come from like industries that are like dominated mostly by males, which is like, because Ashley, you were in accounting,
Yep.
which, as a being like practicing to be a CPA, um, was quite difficult, I'm sure, as a female to be recognized for your achievements
Yeah,
at, yeah.
actually, I so when I went back to school for accounting, I have a story that goes along with
Oh,
that.
please do, because that's one of our questions. Please
Uh,
tell us your personal experience.
Well, I have another personal experience.
Blah, blah, blah.
Personal experience for that question. But since we're talking about going to school and male dom, so like most of my accounting classes were fairly even in terms of men and women, which I found interesting.
Oh, that's good.
But I was studying really hard because I wanted to get my CPA. And so one time I had a conversation with a teacher. It was like I was almost done um, with school, and that meant that I was going to start studying for the CPA. And I wanted to find a job when I got out of school, at least a part time job in accounting. And I remember talking to him about like, and I looked up to him until this moment.
Oh,
Um, he, I remember talking to him about how I wanted to find a job, and did he have any like advice that he could give me, or would he mind like looking at my resume, like things like that, because
mm,
I didn't have any accounting experience to really put on there
mm,
yet, except for an internship I did. And so I was wondering if he could like look at it and tell me what he thought.
mm.
And the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, you'll have no problem getting a job in the business world looking the way you do."
Oh, nice.
And yeah, my heart sank. And I felt absolutely horrible. And I couldn't believe that I had looked up to this person for like 2 years.
Mm,
Um, because I was like, seriously, that's what, like, excuse me, I studied really hard. Like, in my accounting classes, I got all A's, all of my business classes. When I went back to school, it was straight A's, which was amazing for me because I was never really a straight A
mm,
person. And so for that to happen, like, that was amazing. And I worked my butt off and I tried so hard. And I was like, really? So are you like, people are going to just still judge me based on because I look pretty? Because
right.
like I was like, that's not really something you should tell somebody. But then I had a female teacher who she really really helped me. Like she always pushed me to my limits in class. Like she pushed everybody to their limits in our class actually, and it was because of her that I got my first accounting job.
Mm,
My first boss was in class with me, and she asked the teacher who she would recommend to for the position that my former boss was looking for, and me and one other girl's name was the names she threw out.
wow.
And yeah, so and the one of the biggest reasons I was definitely looked at for the position was because since our teacher had pushed us so hard, we were doing this one project based like on financial statements,
Mm,
and it was actually a lot harder than I thought it would be, since I was like, oh, financial statements. But it was like she redacted information. You had to like find a way to back into all these numbers, and it really got you familiar with the financial statements and everything. And so when we had to do problems on the board from homework about financial statements, I knew it like right away, boom, 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 and that really solidified for my former boss that I should have been the one to definitely at least talk to me and this other girl.
mm.
So, good experiences, bad experiences, but yeah, you'll have no problem getting a job based on the way you look.
And that seems to be like the common denominator with most jobs, especially for, like I said, women or identify as women. When you go into a job and you interview, it's more about how you look and how you present yourself. And it is very important how you dress and whether you wear makeup. And
I'm sorry, I'm frozen,
oh
but
no, Ashley, you are frozen.
it's my camera.
Oh
Um,
my. Okay.
for some reason, Discord decided to change change my camera here.
Uh-oh. We're
Hold
just having
on. There
technical
we go.
difficulties.
Am I
There you
back?
go. Yeah, you are. You're a little loud.
Am I
Right.
back?
You are. Yes.
Okay, how
There you go.
is that better?
Perfect. Yes. Sorry, guys. You know,
I don't. Sorry about
Streamlabs
Discord.
is just great.
Well, it was Discord this time. It
Oh,
changed
wait.
my microphone to the camera, and then it changed. It got rid of the camera for my camera.
Whatever reason. Yay. Well, we're keeping it interesting here on Crit Chicks. I
Yeah.
swear to God, I think you and I, we just have that look with our Jerry Atwood show. And then
I know.
With anything else, technology, cell phone batteries just draining for no reason.
Oh, yes.
We're just too awesome
We are just
that
too
when we
awesome for the
sit next to
technology to
each other
handle.
for the I mean,
Um,
slapping owls yesterday.
but,
Um,
God, but,
so
yes, anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I just was like,
it's
"Hold on,
fine.
wait. I'm not moving."
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't notice you were moving until I was like, oh, Ashley is not saying words. Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Anyway,
yes, we were talking about the whole,
yes, the interviewing,
you'll get
yes,
far based on your looks.
yes. I did kind of like an experiment when I was interviewing for jobs. So I went to one job interview for the same type of interview, same type of position in the same type of company. I went to one company wearing minimal makeup, so like concealer, mascara, that's it. I kind of put a little bit of powder on and that's it. And I wore like a very modest suit, so like, just a buttoned up shirt, a suit jacket. And then I went in for another interview that same day, darkened up my makeup, put on some lipstick, wore a dress, and had, put on the same suit jacket. The dress was a little bit lower cut. And I had the same qualifications for both. Like I sent in the same resume. Um, and both interviews were done by a male. And um, I I did the job perfectly. Guess which one didn't call me back in?
The one where you didn't wear as much makeup.
The one where I didn't wear as much makeup, and I was dressed very modestly, and I got called in for the other one.
Of
And
course.
so, of course, and then when I went back in to interview for that job, I decided to do the minimal makeup and the modest attire. And the person who was interviewing me again, because he interviewed me a second time, his overall attitude just completely changed. Like just night and day, just very like just monotoned and like just like very much so like if oatmeal was in human form, it would be this guy. So it's kind of shocking just how much, like in comparison to and this isn't like 100% accurate, and I'm pretty sure that like in some form or fashion, uh, men have to kind of deal with the same way, like as far as like suits and stuff like that and how well they dress. But also, it seems like women really have to kind of like dress to the nines and like put on, gobs
Oh
of
yeah,
makeup.
and don't wear your wedding rings, ladies.
Yeah,
I
don't
was
do
I
that.
was told that once too.
Yes, that's unfortunately what happens. Um, when when I went to go audition one time for a play, um, I was told not to wear my wedding band because I was seen more enticing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it is very interesting to see just how much in both Western culture and in other cultures around the world where it is definitely taken more you're definitely taken more in a positive light when you dress provocatively in some form or fashion, or when you're going out with dressed to the nines with gobs of makeup on. You're treated a bit differently. Um, and I think that still happens in the gaming world where um, I know that when I was I worked and I worked in like a game store shop for a while to help a friend out. Um, I definitely got hit on so much more when I decided to put makeup on my face. versus when I came in, wearing my my jeans and my Birkenstocks and my t-shirt and barely any makeup. This was like in the early 2000s, so don't judge me. Um, but uh, so it's definitely like a phenomenon that happens all across the board in many different industries. Ashley, you're completely right as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
So let's kind of
Yeah, let's get to the questions.
let's get to the
Reel it back
questions.
in.
Reel it back in. So Ashley, you'll be my guinea pig.
Okay,
Dear.
I'll answer them first.
Okay, so here's the questions. Um, there we are. Okay, so my first question is, tell us what it's like to be the CFO of Third Shift Realities. CFO slash content creator, I might say.
Content creator. Well, it's got its positives and its negatives. Um,
Sure.
this is something I have been wanting to do for many years.
Mm,
Start this gaming company. Um, so the fact that it's actually like happening now is just like it's kind of surreal.
mm,
Um, when I went back to school for accounting, my overall goal was to eventually become a CFO, but I never thought I would become the CFO of my own company.
right.
So, um, and technically, I'm the CFO of two of my own companies.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you
Um,
are.
well, for my other company, it's just me, myself, and I, so I'm everything. um,
That's gonna be awkward when you have to fire one of your employees.
I know. Conversation in the mirror. Well, it was really awkward when I had to sign something for the bank and I needed a witness, and I was like, "Well, who's gonna witness it? It's just me."
Oh dear.
Um, yeah, so that was interesting. But um, so yeah, it's um, I would say that the only downside is, and this is for anybody starting their own company, is it's very time consuming. Um, because you're really trying to get your name out there and get people to know who you are, so that you can start bringing in
Mm,
the revenue, which is, as CFO, my concern.
bringing in the revenue.
Bringing in the revenue. Um, so it's like it's cool because you're your own boss, so you get to make your own schedule, do your own things, and you're right in the trenches. With you as the COO and our dear Kevin as the CEO, the three of us,
Presidente.
yeah, the presidente.
El
It's
presidente.
it's cool because you get to be part of such all of the really important decisions and all of the really important conversations and everything. Like, you're right there and you're doing it, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I'm like, man, I feel like I worked less when I worked for somebody else. But I'm a lot happier because I'm doing what I love, and trying to start a company that I love. Um, I can't say I have much experience right now as a woman as the a CFO of the company. I'm sure that will come later.
It will. We're still in the baby stages, but it will come,
Yes,
especially when well, COVID, especially when we start having to kind of have more in-person meetings with different
right.
sorts of partners and even clients. It's going to be a bit of a, you can have a bit more experience as far as like how it feels. Right now, we're just doing everything virtually. Um,
Right.
but there,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but back at you there, B Fry.
Uh,
What's it like to be the COO slash content creator for?
well, um, it is definitely something different and not one and not a thing that I envisioned myself doing. I left, unfortunately, had to leave the job as where I was about to sign on as chief of staff for a private equity firm, but because of le pandemic, um, that drastically changed because this company ended up going under because of the markets. Um, And so I just thought I was going to have to find another virtual job, working as either like a chief of staff or like an executive assistant because I didn't really have anything else in mind. And then, you know, Kevin and Ashley kind of came to me and asked if I wanted to be the COO, which, you know, I like gushed out all kinds of words of praise and honors. Yeah, yes. Um, because I'm a nerd for, you know, being the driving force to keep things going. Um, as far as what it's like, you know, like Ashley said, it does have its ups and downs. And it does kind of challenge me a little bit to put myself out there. You know, I'm very much so an introverted person. I'm an old curmudgeon who likes to
Jerry Rich.
that's why I do Mavis so well. Is because Mavis is my inner grouchy lady that like just wants she wants people to leave her the fuck alone. Um but not really. I do like people. I like people a lot. I just tend to like need my batteries recharged at the end of the day. So in that, you know, regard, it is kind of like exhausting because you're consistently talking to people. You know, you're consistently on social media, which here of late is not like the best platform to be on because, you know, there's so many things going on in the world right now, so you can't really take a break from it. Um, so in that way, it is very difficult. As far as like being a COO as a woman in the gaming industry, I have indeed had a couple of circumstances where I wasn't believed that I was a COO of a RPG company. Yeah, I got looks of disbelief. Um, oh, and one said, "Well, you know." Mm, they could have been terribly educated, but they said, "Well, you just look like you might be a little too pretty to be to to
Oh, so pretty you can get the job, and then too pretty to have the job.
you is or is you ain't. It's a double-ended sword, y'all." Um,
Yeah.
but like they're like, "Well, you look like you might be too pretty to want to be playing RPGs all the time." And so like you know, and this is someone that I knew like in high school who I was dear friends with. Well, I don't really talk to them anymore now. Um, and so me being the smart aleck that I am, just like posed this question to him. You know, well, what do you think women look like who are in our RPGs? He's like, well, I don't know. They look like someone who, you know, doesn't take care of themselves and stays behind the screen and doesn't really talk to anybody and da da. I'm like, I mean,
Been told that too.
yeah, like, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I did have a discussion with Kevin, who um, you know, has a lot of really good views on this. And I do hope that we get him on this show at some point in time because he does have some really nice points of view on this subject. But, you know, he let me know, you know, there are women out there who are erotic models and who are, you know, actors in, you know, the erotic scene who are GMs and who run games on Twitch and do YouTube series about how to GM and write all these games and you know there's even women that have written books, you know, and so it kind of is a bit shocking to me, especially because like if you look at a lot of the cosplay models, lordy, like you know, and I've seen the interviews that they have with some of these cosplay models that are on Instagram. They like to sit there and nerd out, you know, reading about fucking owl bears and Dungeons and Dragons. Like it's just, and so like it's shocking to me that still to this day, people are just kind of assuming that you have to look a certain way, you have to dress a certain way, or be a certain person to be interested remotely in RPGs. And so, like, when you get someone who is like in disbelief that you actually are the COO of a RPG company, they just lose their minds. And it's like, well, I don't.
Gamers come in all shapes and sizes, y'all.
Gamers do come in all shapes and sizes. There are many different people from many different walks of life who
Hmm.
are in the geek industry, or the whole subculture of geekery. They're all over the place. Um, it's so funny because like there's just so many assumptions about it that it drives me crazy. Um, so moving on.
Mm.
Uh, well, you told me about one story, but I feel like you might have more to say about this. So, what have you found to be the biggest struggle as a woman in, the geek and
Skipping
gaming?
question 2.
Well, oh yes, how did you get started in the
How did we
RPG
get started?
business? How'd you get started?
I was like, wait.
I skip it, did
Um,
it.
don't skip that one. That's a good one.
It is a given. Go on.
Um, so well, so I RPGs specifically, I'd always wanted to play. You see on TV people playing D&D and all that stuff, and I'd always wanted to learn how to play, but nobody ever that I knew at the time ever wanted to play with me or were remotely interested in learning how to play. And then I met Kevin,
Dun, dun.
who was a big gaming geek, and he introduced me to Shadowrun.
Which is awesome.
Um, And so I made my for the first thing I did was I sat in on a session with him and some of his friends and saw like how it actually all worked and how role playing games operate.
Mm.
And I got really excited and I wanted to play. So we made me a character and then he ran a game for me by myself. And through the years, Kevin and I have had many different gaming groups. People have come and gone, but me and him have always stayed. And
You two are the constant in
yes, we are
your
the constant.
gaming groups.
And then we rotate through a bunch of groups. But yeah, so from there, he introduced me to Pathfinder, and I believe that was when I first ran a game. He had always wanted to play Isle of Dread, which is actually a D&D module for the
Isle
original
of Dead.
D&D. Yeah, which is what Edie and Mavis are playing right now, Isle of Dread.
Isle of Dead.
Um, so I took the module and I read it and I ran it and I did it a little differently than it was as written, but he really liked it. I fit it into our Pathfinder world, so not only did I have to so it wasn't just like upgrading it to current D&D, it was like switching it over to Pathfinder, which is technically was I believe 3.5 D&D. So it wasn't that hard. But so that was fun. And then I also got the guts to run for our big group in Shadowrun. I ran a game and that was a lot of fun. Then I tried to learn Rifts. I started reading it. I had a little story planned out, and I was really excited to run it. But right around that time, Kevin and I had a falling out, and so that got pushed aside. And I actually found other friends, a common friend of mine and Kevin played D&D, and so I was playing with him for a little while. But then when me and Kevin reconnected, we got into Chronicles of Darkness, which is my all-time favorite RPG now. Um, and I've played a little Buffy. Well, ran. I've never got to play Buffy. I've ran a little Buffy.
Oh no, you'll have to
So yeah,
change
so
that.
that's yeah. But that's how I got into role playing. Um, and because and then to this business, the reason I wanted to start our business was because as my experience of being someone who always wanted to play but nobody wanted to play with me, and I just so happened to run in like meet Kevin. um, like that doesn't always happen for everybody,
Yeah.
especially now that we're all scared of each other because of COVID. Um,
Indoors all the time.
yes, indoors all the time. So that's why I wanted a big reason why I wanted to start this company was because if there were people out there like me who'd always wanted to play, or even people who used to play, but they don't have people who can play with them anymore, or who want to run and they can't have a group. Like that's why I wanted to create this company because it gives people a way to reach out to other gamers and find people to play with.
Right. And the great thing about it is a lot of people in this community use RPGs as a means to bring themselves out of their shells. A lot of people have social anxiety, or have not had the greatest time, like in high school and like in college and stuff like that, where they were consistently made fun of. So this was like their way to kind of channel it, and use it as a means to kind of put themselves out there. So but it's also really hard to reach out to other people when you don't know a lot of people and you're wanting to really, really play an RPG. And so this is a way that they can. This is a way that they can have a GM run their game, where it's either just them, or if it's like one other person, then that's fine. Then we'll run that game for you so that you can get that experience. And so it's really important that people have a platform to be able to do that. So that I think that's kind of what we're trying to aim towards right now. And we're letting people sink their teeth into our games that we put on the Twitch.
And also, doing this business perfectly melds my accounting and my theater side because, bachelor's in theater, but I have a CPA.
We both like majored in theater. We're not.
Yes.
We're not.
Yes, my accounting degree is an associate's. But I have CPA.
It's funny how things work. I think we're using our theater degrees really well right now in geriatric.
Yep. Yes, we are. That's what gets us through geriatric, is that theater
Putting
degree.
it to the test. Yes, and that has become, and that's another way to, like I said, like RPGs, it's a way to channel your stresses and your frustrations by playing another character and putting yourself into another world, which is kind of what we do. We put ourselves within another world with geriatric.
Yes, with geriatric.
Okay. Oh, that's my turn.
Yeah. So how did you get into RPGs, BFry?
So I played a couple of RPGs in high school. I played the Dungeons and the Dragons in high school with a couple of friends, but because I was in theater, I was pretty busy, so I didn't get to play it too much. And Dungeons and Dragons has the campaigns and stuff like that, so it lasts a long time. But then I got back into it again in college. Being around a lot of theater people, we get bored and we hang out and we're like, well, what do we do? So I did play like one Pathfinder game, like a couple of episodes. I can't even remember what it was. What was I? I think it was like an elf or something like that. I didn't do much. I sat there. I was a bard elf. I sat there and I sang.
Or should we go with my lower baritone?
Nobody knows the trouble.
Nobody knows
Oh, no.
the trouble I've seen.
You're gonna have to sing that for Kevin later. He will get very entertained by that. We were watching Spaceballs the other day. He's like, hey, that's Ashley.
Sorry, I keep sidetracking us. You know me.
It's fine. We're sidetracking queens. It's fine.
Yes.
We were all fine until Ashley brought up another subject. No. So, but then I really got into RPG stuff when Kevin and I became friends, and he kind of like drew up like a Pathfinder character for me. And then I think it was like a white snow witch. White-haired witch. Thank you. And I could strangle people with my hair, which was fucking spectacular.
Medusa once.
Huh?
That had her. I was a Medusa once. Kevin made this character for me in Pathfinder where my eyes had been gouged out, so I had to see through all the snakes. So I was like very clumsy, but somehow it all ended up being okay.
That's great. Good for you, Ashley. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did a fantastic job stumbling around. Sometimes though, I really feel like both of us have snakes for hair, and our eyes are just not working half the time. Another part of being a geek.
Yes.
total klutzes, and then we make fun of ourselves
Clumsy.
about it.
I think
Um,
that's more of a ballet dancer
it
trait,
is a ballet
actually. You're
because we are both,
clumsy unless
yeah,
you're dancing,
it's
then
true.
you're
Like
graceful.
both of us did
I found
ballet
that
for over 20 years.
yeah, every single ballet dancer I have met is clumsy in real life until they start dancing.
Yep, I'm
I'm sorry I
totally,
tangented.
it's okay. I'm totally graceful on stage, but I can't, I'll just continuously walk into walls. Um,
Mhm.
so then, yeah, so it's funny because I met Kevin doing an RPG. I don't know, doing an RPG or RPG. So we met on the set of like a movie, 40, nope, 73-hour film fest where we were in a Dungeons and Dragons musical, and I played Megan the Elven Ranger. Um, but then after that, I was actually going through a rough time myself, and Kevin like would just talk RPG at me to like get my brain completely engaged in something else. And then I started playing a little bit more um, with Ultimate Werewolf, which isn't really like an RPG. It's more like a kind of like a, not really a
Board
LARPing, but
game.
it's not really a board game either. Like it's like a
Well, it's a game. It's a
it's a
table
it's a
game.
table game. It's a tabletop game, but you don't really like play off a book. And so playing Ultimate Werewolf really got me inspired to want to do more RPG stuff. And so then I ran my first Pathfinder game for my birthday for everybody, um, which Ashley was like my cheerleader for, and helped me kind of run it, keep it on course. Um, And so after that, like I've been trying to read up more on RPGs and trying to see if I can start GMing myself because that was the only time I ever GM'd. So getting there, and I do have a couple of books picked out, but I have fallen in love with Chronicles of Darkness, just like working with Ashley and like reading up on books and stuff.
How can you not fall in love with Chronicles of Darkness? It's amazing.
It is pretty amazing. It has awesome characters, and every single time like I prepare something for Monster Mondays, I like read up on stuff for Chronicles of Darkness. I'm like, that's cool. So, um, yes, I'm gonna get there. All right, so um, I think we already really like went through question 4.
What
Um,
wait, what have you found to be the biggest struggle as a woman in the geek and gaming industry?
mhm.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that one.
And number
Um,
3, yes, number 3.
but well, so to tie in again with like gaming, computer games, I'm not a real big like video gamer unless it's the original Nintendo because my hand-eye coordination is just not there. Like I have tried and I just can't move with all those buttons and I'm like, "Wait, what's the button you're supposed to?" And then I'm like, "Oh god, well I just died." So I can't. So like the games I like to play are like, original Nintendo. But I also love The Sims. And I always considered myself a gaming gamer because I did play games. I mean, Tetris, Pac-Man, original Super Mario, Sims, those are
Mhm.
games.
Mhm.
But whenever I would call myself that to people, usually men, I never really got this from women in the gaming industry, but I was told you're not a gamer. Those aren't real games. And I was like, well, then what are they? Because
I
it's the
mean,
Sims game.
they're games.
And
They're played on a
Nintendo was
console.
right. Nintendo's the original gaming system. So tell me, sir, what is it? And it would always be like, well, but I mean, gaming has evolved, and and I'm like, so I still play it just because I like the classics.
No, that's it. I
um,
mean, that's the thing that they don't seem to understand is that you don't have to play PC games and to call yourself a gamer. You're playing games on a console. The end. Doesn't matter how old it
and
is. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like well, it's like the same thing. Like if they're driving around an old Gremlin from like the 1970s, and then they're like, "I am a driver. I drive places," and I'm like, "No, you're not, because your car is from the 1970s." That's what's that's the comparison that I see there. Like you, just because you play from a console that's like eons and eons and eons ago does not mean that like you're not a gamer. And it's not up to them to define what you are. You are up to you to define what you are. The end.
Yes.
That's my English at its best.
Do you have any other stories that you would like to
Oh
contribute?
boy, howdy. Yes. I know that like in college, I was definitely more of a gamer in college. I mean, I am definitely a gamer now because I do play on the PS4 and then I play PC games, which I didn't really get into until here lately, because pandemic. And then Kevin was like, "Hey, games," and I'm like, "Hey, okay." And so like I got hooked on different games on the PC on Steam, which is a awesome program to download different games on. But back in college, there used to be a fuck ton of Halo parties that would just happen. And, even though it was a struggle, it was actually pretty entertaining to have, guys try to gatekeep me and be like, "Oh, you don't play Halo. You probably just sit there and you just don't do anything. You just don't even know how to coordinate." I'm like, "All right." So like I would invite them over to the Halo parties that we would have. And so I was one girl out of like 12 guys that would do this Halo party. And so they would call me the Halo Shark because I would find a comfortable spot up in like a building area. And when they were playing Capture the Flag, I would sit there with my sniper rifle and I would just pick all of them off. Every single one that would come to the doorway. Yeah, and I think my screen name was like, oh, what was it? Hold on. It was like, oh, Freddy Furry Cat was my screen name. And so they're like, "Here's this fucking Freddy Furry Cat." I'm like,
So,
so I would yell in like the other room, "I done told you, I fucking game, and when I game, I game."
so I I I actually did play Left 4 Dead
Oh.
a few times. Oh, of course, I was always like, where am I going? Oh, look, it's the ceiling. Wait, that's the floor. But I used to always like to have the katana. I didn't want the guns. I wanted the katana. So I'd be playing with one of my friends, and he would always make sure I would find a katana. And then one day we're playing, and he got attacked by a tank. And so I was like, I'm coming to save you. But somehow I killed that thing with a katana. I was just pushing buttons.
You killed
And
a
I
tank
killed a tank
with a katana?
with a katana, and my friend was like, I don't know how the hell you did that.
Sweet
I was like, I just
mercy.
pushed buttons.
I just put buttons down.
I was just pushing a bunch of buttons.
So, hand on heart, that's totally my method when I'm playing Mortal Kombat. I'm just like, because I have the memory of a goldfish, as you know, and so like trying to tell me the button combinations to beat someone's ass, no. And so I'm just sitting there, get over here.
There's one button combination I will never forget. There was this TV show called Dark Angel. It had Jessica Alba. It was a very short-lived TV
Oh
show, only 2
yeah.
seasons. It was really good, but they made a video game of it.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my friend in high school, we loved the show, and she got the video game. And the one button combination I will always remember from this video game was square, square, triangle, because it was a direct kick to the nuts. And when me and her would do it, we would yell out, square, square, triangle!
See? Gaming at its best.
Gaming at its best.
When you get overexcited about how to beat someone's ass and you figure out a button combination.
Yeah, then we were in Spanish class together, and we looked up to say square, square, triangle in Spanish.
Oh boy.
Which I don't remember. But
I was gonna ask, do you remember what it is?
I don't remember what it was, but so then we would start yelling it in Spanish.
Amazing. See, gaming at its best, guys. I
Oh,
mean,
gaming
but
at its
gaming
best.
is all about like a video, especially like with video games, it's all about learning and just experimenting and trial and error. Because even people who are really, really good at games, they have to kind of fail every now and then to kind of understand how the hell to play the game. Um,
Yeah.
so I could tell you the very first time I played Skyrim, I looked like a dilapidated drunk. I couldn't. I had to figure out how to navigate my way through the lands with the sword being a lizard lady. Argonian. Thank you. Um, yes, it was so. It's all about trial and error, and I did really get. I did get very good at towards the end, like being able to fight off all kinds of vampires, and then eventually I turned into a vampire gargoyle thing, and I just like floated around with big wings. Um, but yeah, so going back to Halo, yeah, so I ended up being able to prove them wrong that there is such thing as a woman being able to play games like Halo and being really good at them. Um, and going back into like Ultimate Werewolf, just because of the way I look, I was able to like win so many Ultimate Werewolf games because no one would suspect that I was a wolf, and then I would just kill off the entire village. Because,
Catan for a while.
huh?
That was me in Settlers of Catan for a while.
Oh God, Settlers of Catan. Oh dang.
I would pick someone for everyone to pick on, and they would just go with it because I was so
Oh
sweet
yeah.
and innocent.
Oh
So
yeah. I do the same thing with Ticket to Ride. I have a long ass fucking train all the way around. Nobody would notice because I'm
yes,
just building my
I
trains.
always build the Great Wall of Ashley in the Settlers of Catan, just across the whole board. Anyway, I'm sorry I
No,
interrupted.
that's okay. All right, so we touched on Ada Lovelace,
Hmm.
and well, I mean, we could, yeah, I think we're for the sake of time, we probably should just keep moving on.
Yeah, we should probably just skip
Um,
it to the last one
yes, so
because I think we got 8 minutes left.
we do has. So Ashley Trukowski, is there
Hmm.
anything you would like to tell young and older women who want to aspire to grow and prosper in things like game design, GMing, and/or content creation in the geek world?
And I would tell them that if that's what they really want to do, then go for it. Don't let anybody stand in your way, whether it be a man or a woman.
Mm,
If that's what you want to do, you want to create, you want to play, then do it. I always think that play is the best medicine. When I was younger, playing pretend was one of my favorite things to do. And role playing is just so therapeutic for me to just get lost in another world with other characters and escape for a little while. And it's just so
right,
therapeutic to be able to just create um, something, anything. So that's what I would say to them is don't let anybody stop you. Don't let nobody. I don't care who they are. Don't let them stop you from doing what it is you love. You go out there and you play those
don't do it.
games and you create.
There you go.
And if anybody tries to stop you, just go,
You hit them.
fuck you. You say, fuck you. And you flip them the bird and you continue on your merry way.
That's right. There you go. There you
Give
go.
them a square, square triangle.
See, just yelling
See how I
square,
tied it?
square,
You see,
triangle
you
alone
see,
is going to scare
you see,
somebody. I
you
did.
see how I tied it all? I tied it all back.
When in doubt, square, square, triangle.
Square, square, triangle.
All the way.
Hey, it could work on a woman too if you kick hard enough.
Oh, I'm sure. See, there you go. But what we don't want to do is condone violence.
No, we don't want to condone violence.
But you do have the right to aspire to whatever you want to do.
And
Especially like what now?
So I was gonna say, and you do have the right to tell them to go away and stop.
There you
Don't
go.
stand in my way.
Oh, Romeo says metaphorical violence is okay.
Okay.
Metaphorical violence is,
Is
yes.
okay.
Give them a good tongue lashing. Verbally shank that fucker. From here to Timbuktu. Yes.
I mean, you could just yell square, square, triangle at them without actually doing
I'm
anything,
saying
and they
that
might
was
just be
just
like,
scared the
"Whoa,
shit.
that person's crazy."
She cray.
Let me
All
just
right.
I'll back it up.
Indeed, Romeo. Never underestimate the power of invective. See?
See, yes,
See? You see, Indy? You see?
yes,
Um.
I do see Mavis.
What is
Oh
it? What is
goodness.
it? Hold on. In Boondock Saints. Why don't you make like a tree and get the fuck out? That's what you can say to people.
Yes.
Um. Last words for me. Let's see. So my football coach, who was actually a pretty amazing person, because I did play football in high school. I was a kicker on my high school football team. And he was really supportive of me being on the team, even when other teammates were not so keen on me being there. He very much so pushed me in a very positive way. Told me that only you can give people permission to make you feel the way you feel. And so to that I say, you can only give people permission to like make you feel like you can't achieve anything. If you don't give them permission, you're not giving them permission. And that means not listening to them and not validating their derogatory claims that you can't do what you want to do. And that goes for men and women and non-binary and transgender men and women. If you have a need and a desire to go out there and do something in the gaming industry or do something in any industry, it's the only thing that's holding you back is yourself. Figuring out the means to get it done is half the battle. um, you know just coming from a person, I'm a single mom. I've done it for a few years now. And I didn't think it was going to be possible for me to be even doing this, creating content, being on video and, doing these gaming things and stuff like that. Like and being on this talk show, like I didn't think any of that was going to be possible just because of how shy I am and what my struggles are with social anxieties. But here I am, and it was just a matter of having belief in myself and having wonderful and supportive people like Kevin and Ashley to kind of be there to push me to do it, push myself out there. So um, you are the only one that's holding yourself back from achieving things, whatever they are. And on that note, my dear listeners, thank you so much for listening in on our show today. It was absolutely wonderful to have everybody here. Thank you, Romeo, for your commentary. It was very much so welcomed, and got pleasure out of reading your lovely words. Um, aw,
Oh,
bless you, Romeo. I'm glad that we could provide a little bit of inspiration for you.
I'm glad. Yes, that we could give some inspiration to people instead of our usual Edie Mavis.
Whew, I don't know. That's inspiring in its own little way.
That's true.
Even
But
80-year-old
yes,
ladies can play Dungeons and Dragons.
it's true. But yes, thank you all so much for watching. We really appreciate everyone's support for all of the different shows we have here
Yes, thank you
on
so
Third
much.
Shift Realities. And if you would like to see the comedy stylings of Ashley and Lindssay playing Edie and Mavis, you can tune in tomorrow at
Indeed.
8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on this Twitch.
Yep.
Uh, you can see the crotchety old ladies trying to play some D&D. And we also have a lot of other shows this whole week for you to enjoy and watch. There is a stream schedule in the About section below. There is also our Facebook and our Twitter. If you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, you'll be able to see all the different events that pop up that we will be doing. We will be doing another Crit Chicks next month. We don't have a date yet, but
Yep.
we will be doing another one.
We've
that
got we're working on
Yeah.
it. We've got an
Yeah.
exciting guest located in the Netherlands, so
Yes.
we have to figure out time schedules for that.
Yes. So we're gonna have a special guest on next time, and you can tune in this Thursday at 8 p.m.
Mhm.
for Shop Talk with El Presidente
El
of our
Presidente.
company, Kevin Zarnicki. He will be interviewing Clinton Boomer.
Yep.
Yes, I always want to say Clifton, but it's Clinton.
I just do.
Clinton
Don't worry.
Boomer.
Yep.
One-on-one, they will be talking about a bunch of stuff RPG wise. And then Friday, Edie and Mavis will be cooking a special Halloween treat for everybody. And on Saturday, to celebrate Halloween and D&D style Halloween, I will be running Death House, which is the introduction to Strahd.
Yep.
So
lots of exciting
tune
stuff
in
this
for
week.
this. So lots of exciting stuff this week. And again, thank you all for watching.
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you tune in next month for Crit Chicks, or tune in for any of the shows that we've got going on here at Third Shift Realities.
Yep. And you can check us out, Third Shift Realities Incorporated on Facebook. So Third Shift Reality Inc. on Facebook, and
There's also a link to our Facebook in the About section.
Yes. And then we also have a Twitter page, and then you can also check us out on YouTube as well.
We got lots of YouTubes.
We do. But everyone, I hope you have a great evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Ashley, for your honest and lovely answers to our questions. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, Lindssay, for all of your answers. And for putting up with my tangenting.
Tangent Queen. It's okay. I love it. Okay. Everybody take care. Good night.
Take care. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.